former CIA officer and FBI special agent, to speak about this complex investigation. Tracy, thank you for being here.
It's good to see you again, Natasha.
Thank you. And Tracy, what do you make of investigators being back on the scene now, collecting more evidence? And also, how much of a red flag in your mind is it that the lock was replaced the week before? Where is your mind when you hear that piece of information?
Yeah, I was really surprised actually to hear that, somewhat late on a weekend evening, that it looks like local law enforcement, just by seeing their badges, is who went inside. It looks to me like it's some kind of evidence recovery that they were doing. If they were turning lights on and off, I haven't seen the footage, but if that's what they were doing, they were most likely looking for bodily fluids of some sort. And if they were taking it out in paper bags, that's usually what we use when dealing with biodegradable kinds of fluids. That's how we transport evidence of that nature. I'm surprised that 3 weeks into the investigation, they are still collecting biological evidence. Typically, that's something that's collected rather early on. So that's surprising to me, although it could be the result of another lead, which is a really good thing. In terms of the locks being replaced that Xana's mother was speaking about, that's interesting to me. I'd want to know why. Was it replaced simply because, a mundane thing that it was just broken? Or was it replaced because she didn't feel safe? So I think that's really a critical thing to look at.
And we know you've been looking at some of the images from the scene from inside of the home. What can you share with us? What is striking to you?
So what's interesting to me, and again, I'm sort of a cyber sleuth here. I'm no longer an FBI agent. I'm no longer in law enforcement. But just in looking at some of the pictures that I've seen that I think folks have probably taken with a long lens into this house, there seems to be evidence taped up on the inside of the kitchen window. So what that indicates to me is that perhaps there is blood spatter. There is some kind of biological evidence there that they did use evidence tape to mark. And so that is an indicator to me that perhaps not all of these victims were killed in their bedroom. We know that Maddie and Kaylee were killed in their beds together, unfortunately, but we don't know for sure about Xana and Ethan. So that indicates to me that perhaps there was some violence that occurred outside of the bedroom.
And our viewers at the start of the investigation shocked at the blood on the exterior wall of the house. Can you explain how that happened? What does it tell us?
So that's a hard thing to really talk about. I'll be honest, I have never seen something like that before. I have seen violent crime scenes. I have never seen blood coming out of the side of the house. I'm not certain if it's been confirmed that it's blood or not. It certainly looks like that to me. That's probably the result of sort of bad lining in the house or faulty sort of caulking of the house, and really an overabundance of blood, quite frankly. If you look at the images, I guess, of the house and where the blood is, that's the room that would have unfortunately been Xana's room. But it's hard to know whose blood that is.
Yeah, the exterior wall outside of her room, and one can only imagine the sheer amount of blood in order for it to drip down an exterior like that. And certainly, the parents speaking to Brian Enton are frustrated. In the past weeks, you have been very supportive and understanding of this investigation. I've appreciated that. In the last hour when we were speaking, you were pointing some things out, and we were discussing, for example, how quickly some of these suspects were ruled out. What could be done better as you are taking a bird's eye view of this investigation?
Yes, and I try to be as supportive of law enforcement as possible. I don't think that they are ultimately trying to do the bad thing. I think they are trying to do the right thing. But what I do think could be better is communication, because I think it was Olivia Gonzalez who just said in that clip that you're referencing, was that she feels that this absence of information is creating sort of all of these theories and all of these sort of people that are becoming.
Welcome back to my mental health and crime channel. My name is Huda London. I'm a licensed cognitive behavior therapist, that's a CBT therapist, and a licensed mental health counselor. Please like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy the contents in this channel. I'd like to thank all my subscribers, my viewers, for your kind, mindful, respectful comments. I really do appreciate all of y'all. Today I'd like to talk about the crime scene itself. From the beginning of this case, I've been just watching the kitchen area, the crime scene, taking pictures in and outside of the windows, the sliding door, and the spare room and Bethany Funke's room. We know the door was left wide open. I still go along with my own opinion and theory that there was more than one person involved in these crimes. I've always said that I believe the frats, sororities, the people at the grub truck, some of the people at Banfield, and the students, many of the students were aware of this crime. I'm not saying they were involved, but I'm saying many people knew that a quadruple took place before 911 was called. The surviving roommates did not only call Hunter and Emily. The Airmail article told us that there were many students who were standing outside and inside the house. Let's go back to this picture. I spoke about it yesterday, but I feel like this is a really important clip from News Nation. Tracy Waldo, who was just speaking, is a former CIA agent, and she's a former FBI agent. So we can imagine the experience she has in law enforcement. I love to listen to people that have the experience of law enforcement, because in this case, we all are speculating, but someone who has the knowledge and skills of working with other cases would have better skills to look into certain details that we don't see. And I'm glad that Tracy Waldo brought this up, because I always used to believe from the beginning that the fight started from the kitchen areas. From the kitchen area. Pay attention to the door. I don't know if that is oil, if that is red liquid, but it seems like it's red liquid. Others, the students would have definitely washed it off. I wonder if the fight happened from the living room, kitchen, and ended in Zana's bedroom and Maddie and Kaylee's bedroom. We were always told that Ethan Chapin, may he rest in peace, was found on the hallway, the doorway of Zana Colodal's room. And that makes me believe that the surviving roommates are not being genuine, because that leaked out in the grand jury. So if Ethan was found on the doorway, then I would assume that BF and DM, who said that they saw Zana unconscious on the floor, would have come across Ethan first, because he's lying on the doorway. What is strange is the surviving roommates never mention Ethan. Pay attention to that. So was Ethan unalived in this house, or was he brought back to this house? Was his body in a place, God forbid, that they couldn't find him at once? I'm just asking. Because how come they never mentioned Ethan? So that door really makes me believe that a fight broke out there and something could have happened there. I agree with Tracy Waldo when she says the same thoughts, that she believes that the fight did not happen in the rooms, She says Kaylee and Maddie were unalived in their rooms, but she believes that not all the victims were sleeping and the fight could have started from somewhere else, basically the kitchen, corridor, living room, or somewhere else. Chief Fry said that there was no forced entry. That's the reason I believe that somebody, one of the roommates, one of the surviving roommates, allegedly must have left the door open on purpose. The reason I say that, allegedly, is because Olivia, Kaylee's sister, said that they came home at 1:56. I think she saw it in the door camera of the neighbors. She said, Maddie and Kaylee, my sisters, came home at 1:56. They locked their doors. They let the dog out to potty. They locked their doors, and then this still happened. So it makes me believe that Kaylee and Maddie did actually lock the doors. They must have gone to their room. The question is, who left the door open? And why was the two surviving roommates and Murphy the dog not harmed? Why was a 911 called for 8 hours? All those things raises red flags for me. Although you're in a shock phase, freeze, fight, flight mode, I would know that as a therapist. And I do have empathy for everyone in this case, because we still don't know who did this. The surviving roommates took 8 hours to call the police, and before they even called 911 after 8 hours, they actually called Hunter and Emily. I find that to be strange. Why would you call your sororities and frat bros when law and enforcement are the first one, a 911, that you should call? This is what Ethan, his sister-in-law, Ethan has 3 siblings that he shares a father with, much older than him. 2 are married and have children. One of the older siblings' wife was part of the family, obviously. Family member of Idaho murder victim Ethan Chapin questions why surviving roommates DM didn't call the cops after hearing crying and screaming, and claims she called all of her girls in the house rather than 911. Very interesting question. Why wouldn't you call 911 first? She did, I believe, hear a fight, because even Steve said there was a hell of a fight upstairs. That's what the coroner told him, allegedly. The coroner was speaking freely until she must have got orders to keep quiet. Why was the coroner let in the crime scene between 5 to 5:30 when the police were called at 12 o'clock? 5 hours, 5.5 hours later, the coroner was let in the crime scene. I usually do not speak about the victims' bodies, but I wonder, many people wonder, were there ambulances? Were the victims taken out? And in my next clip, I'll explain to you all and show you all what a neighbor said. The neighbor said that he saw ambulances and the police cars standing outside the house. So I do believe there was ambulances there. I'm sure that's the reason the police took a couple of hours to put out the vandals alert, because they had to obviously take the victims out of the house. DM allegedly called the girls after the screaming and crying stopped. Why didn't DM just call 911 or the police? You can hear crying, you can hear screaming. Let's not forget, it leaked from the grand jury that DM and BF were texting each other before they made the 911 call official. The 4chan told us DM, one of the surviving roommates, heard rummaging upstairs and she thought it was the Sigma Chi frat boys. So my question is, what happened to Ethan Chapin? Was he unalived inside the house? Or was he unalived in the kitchen area? Let's not forget that the Dateline told us that Ethan's legs were carved. May he rest in peace. That's why I believe that this crime was about revenge, hate, jealousy, crime of passion, possibly drugs and money. For 4 people to be deleted from the world, there has to be good reasons and motives. Could it be possible that Maddie flushed down rugs worth $75,000? We even heard in the beginning the rumors that Maddie threw the rugs, I think a couple of days before the unalivings. And that could make any person, I think, go crazy. If it's a lot of money, we know how rug dealers are. And they could do horrific things to put out an example so that nobody else dares messing around with their territory and their money. We know that DM, his boyfriend, Quinn Kelly, we were told, was at 1122 Kings Road. DM and her boyfriend were taking pictures on VSCO. And that is what I'm focused on. DM was uploading pictures at 3:33. The picture of her and Kaylee together, a picture of her and a friend standing in the living room. People were seen with masks at 3:30. A guy was seen in front of the house. That's the reason I do not believe in the timeline of 4 to 4:30. I believe that is something the surviving roommates and the suspects made up. That is what they must have told the police, in my opinion. DM took a couple of interviews, 4 interviews, and I heard she kept on saying in 2 of the interviews she can't even remember what she saw, who she saw, if she was hallucinating or if she was actually seeing a person with a mask. Now that is going to bring issues in court. Ann Taylor is going to fry DM for that. As for BF, she seems to have exculpatory evidence. DM is trying to tell us that she opened her room. She saw BK face to face and he just passed her without touching her. Why would somebody leave a witness alive after they witnessed 4 unalivings and they saw your bushy eyebrows? Allegedly. That doesn't make sense. The first floor that's downstairs, BF its railings had blood on it. We were always told from the beginning that there was 3 unidentified male DNAs in the scene. The glove outside, the Van's diamond shoe footprint in front of DM's room when they took the latent footprint, they found that, the knife sheet, and the fingerprints on the good vibes. We know that Maddie had 3 mixed male DNAs under her hands. So was Maddie awake? I would assume she was awake. She must have been fighting for her life. We females know, when we are younger, in fights, females use their nails for survival. We pull hair, we use our nails, because men are stronger than us, obviously. So was Maddie trying to fight for her life. May she rest in peace. But I still believe that Maddie was given drugs too. Number 9 put something in Maddie's mouth, clearly, and that could have weakened her strength to fight, in my opinion. So remember what Tracy Walder just said. She said that she noticed that there were tapes from inside the windows. So she believes the fight must have happened around those areas, which I believe too. This wasn't just a silent unaliving. These victims fought for their life.